Good evening, my dear friends. I welcome you all to the today's analysis on three topics. That is Queen Elizabeth II death at the Balmoral Estate in Scotland, Nirmala Sitharaman's take on inflation and the job at hand for the Indian economy, and about the spurring growth of demat accounts in India, which has touched 10 crores mark. First, let us discuss basing upon the end of an era in the Hindu, which discusses the death of Queen Elizabeth II, who died at the Balmoral estate in Scotland, and the whole world is grieving now. The title of the editorial is End of an Era. When we refer to an era, that means a huge long period of time for which it had prevailed. I am simultaneously going to refer to the New York Times reporting and the Guardian newspaper in Britain reporting on Queen Elizabeth II's death and the following ceremonies. Queen Elizabeth II has, with her disappearance from the screen, has made an end of a great era in the British history and the world history. She was very dear in England and Britain and all over the realms and the Commonwealth nations which had come within Britain. There are around 12 realms of British Queen, starting from Canada to Australia. Barbados has recently changed from the realm to the independent status, and 56 Commonwealth countries are there, of which India is also a member. The end of an era marks the end of a sweet era which witnessed Second World War, the independence of India, the change of the British Empire to Commonwealth, and several around 14 prime ministers had come within this period of 70 years rule as a monarchy of the British Queen Mary Elizabeth, or popularly known as Elizabeth II, the most influential and the most benevolent queen of all times. The former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has stated that it is reported in the Guardian, the newspaper, the international newspaper from UK. Boris Johnson has expressed the sorrow in this fashion. We were assuming that such a long era which she occupied in our life, we had imagined that this would go on forever. Queen Elizabeth II was a very key intelligent person for around 70 years, since the age of 26, in which she became the queen. Although he ascended to the throne at the age of 25, she could become the queen only at the age of 26. And since then, till the age of 96, till yesterday, she has been the queen of 12 plus realms and 56 Commonwealth countries. King Charles III expressed the sorrow in this fashion: we now mourn the passing of a cherished sovereign and much beloved mother. Queen Elizabeth too had inherited the throne from her father, King George VI, who died 71 years ago. And in the following June, Queen Elizabeth II was coronated as the Queen. Liz Truss, the British Prime Minister, has stated that she was the foundation rock upon which modern Britain was built. She had, in her 70-year tenure as the Queen, has seen and silently tolerated in a much hushed tone many ups and downs. The end of Second World War, she had told the world, we must meet again. She was very quick enough to grapple with the change of monarchy to Commonwealth and was successful and adept in retaining the monarchy. She had witnessed the freedom of many nations from the British Empire, one of which was India, and she also had her shocks and disadvantages type times, particularly the failure of marriage of her three sons, and 1992 her year was the 1992 year was named as Annus Horribilis. This Annus Horribilis means lots of financial allegations were leveled against her, which she had to tolerate, and she could come out. And the death car accident of Princess Diana in 1997, she was not coming out of the palace for several years. Balmoral estate, where she died now, has been her summer residence. She is the permanent resident of Windsor Castle. The Windsor Castle is the official residence of the Queen. The death was announced from the Buckingham Palace in the evening on 9th September 2022. Friends, the next article I am going to discuss is from the Hindu, Staying the Course, which refers to Nirmala Sitharaman's speech, that the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's speech, that inflation has moderated to a level and it has reached the highest level, the 8-year highest level in April at 7.76%, and further growth or further rise in inflation is not expected. So the Hindu uses the word, the inflation is capped at this level. That is, capped means it is not going to further rise again. Therefore, more important things now, rather than tackling inflation, are creating jobs, then ensuring the growth of the economy, and creating a equitable distribution of wealth. Equitable distribution of wealth means the rich and the poor get the equitable distribution, that is, the equal distribution of wealth. Let us see how far this works. The finance minister has said that both the government and the Reserve Bank of India have done their bits to bring inflation to a moderated level. Moderated level means a level which is comfortable. However, the inflation in July is 6.71 percentage. July 2022 is 6.71 percentage, signaling still a higher than 6 percentage of the inflation level. The food prices have resurged, that is increased. Food prices comprise of 45 percentage of the CPI inflation, that is retail inflation. Therefore, when the food prices have resurged, that is increased again, the inflation is still going high. The average inflation of the rural household is more than, it is shown that it is more than the average of the inflation of the cities. That means rural households are suffering more. The Hindu uses the word deleterious and denting to describe the lives of people affected with inflation. Deleterious means very much difficult and damaging. Denting means eroding. Eroding means destroying. When the inflation is rising at a higher level, it is deleterious to the lives of the people and denting their consumption patterns. When the inflation is denting the consumption patterns of the people, it is affecting the investment. Much investment will not come. If it is the affecting, the inflation is affecting the or denting the consumption patterns of the people, much investment will not come out. Nirmala Sitharaman is saying that the Reserve Bank of India must not follow the world banks all over, the central banks all over, to rise the interest rates so that the growth is affected. The inflation should be tamed. However, the growth must not be affected. Inflation has reached a cap level. It is not going to rise further. And India's inflation is much comfortable than the inflation all over, and further growth in inflation is not expected. So we must focus now on growth, is what Nirmala Sitharaman is saying. What is hampering growth? She is pointing out that the difference between different states or perspective on the growth. Some states are having the growth perspectives as very clear. However, some states are not having that clear perspective. So, a working of the center and the states is imperative in this aspect to tackle inflation. Remember, the title of the article is Staying the Course. Staying the course means pursuing one objective till the end. So, pursuing this objective till the end. Friends, the business line editorial is titled Exuberance and Vigilance. Exuberance means a sudden happening of a very encouraged and enthusiastic event, and vigilance means having or observing constant vigil over something. The title is referring to. Similarly, I have found same reporting in the New Indian Express and the Morning Standard. The title is referring to the crossing of Demat accounts more than 10 crores by August 2022, with CDSL, the Central Depository Services Limited, having more than 7 crore Demat accounts, and NSDL, that is National Securities Depository Limited, having Demat accounts closer to 4 crores. CDSL and NSDL are the two depositories which are maintaining accounts on behalf of the actual shareholders or the bondholders or the debenture holders. So these two depositories, what is a depository? Depository is maintaining or holding the share on behalf of you. You are the beneficial owner. The depository is the registered owner. So there are two depositories in India, that is NSDL and CDSL. CDSL becomes the largest depository now with 7 crores plus Demat accounts in number. NSDL becomes the largest depository in the value of assets under management. NSDL is having more than 300 trillion rupees, that is $4 trillion worth of assets under management. So it is the largest depository in terms of value. NSDL is having around 38 trillion rupees worth of assets under management. Hence it is the, when compared to NSDL, though it is having lots of Demat accounts, more than 7 crores Demat accounts, it is having the assets under management much lesser, that is only 10% of the assets under management of the NSDL is being held by the CDSL. It was 3.7 crores earlier, 3 years back. Now it is 10.3 crores. It was 3.7 crores earlier, 3 years back. Now it is 10.3 crores. So it has more than doubled, almost closer to triple. So these Demat accounts explain that number of millennium shareholders, that is small retail shareholders, the young shareholders have come into the market, having the no brokerage free fee platforms have lured them to come to the market and register for the Demat accounts. And there are some IPOs like LIC IPO, which has lured the new investors into the market. And the share prices, the values have rebounded, that is recovered from the March 2020 low, which has again lured some investors into the market. So in combined with all these factors, the Demat accounts have flat or it has become inflated now. However, it is not sure that these people are long term or not, as has been seen that in the National Stock Exchange, it had surged to a very higher level. The forwards options trading, however, it has come down now in this year. This shows that this is not a long term option. The Demat accounts are going to go. Therefore, we have to be very much cautious. These Demat accounts, already they are investing in equities because the debt markets are not that much interesting to them. However, it is to be noted that their investment is not for the long term. Friends, I have come to the conclusion of today's analysis of the Hindu, Business Line and various other newspapers like the New York Times, the Guardian, the Indian Express, the Morning Standard, which I have referred to. Hope you enjoyed this analysis. Tomorrow I'll come with some more analysis like this. Till then, take care. Bye. Good night.